All right, we're doing we did these lower control arms on this 2014 Nissan Altima. I guess it's a pretty common issue. The client, it broke right here and dropped the whole control arm down. It was still attached in this front location here. If you do this job, I would go ahead and these are super cheap from the factory. Nissan is the only place I could find them. Go ahead and do this along with this front lateral link as well. I was able to salvage the sway bar end links. So just some tips on doing this job. I have an internal spring compressor. Basically it's a disc that goes here and here, and there's a shaft that runs through and then it squeezes the spring. It helped unload the suspension, but the best way I found going back in with it is just have the spring at its normal length and use a jack underneath here. I also found that if you just put this bolt in first, put the spring in, and then use the jack up the arm, and then I left these two bolts loose to give this lateral arm a little bit of play, like an 1/8 inch or more, 3/16. And then I use the jack, and then this back bolt location comes into play, and you can thread the bolt through that way. And then for these bolts, you just pull this hub out and then pop it in here. This is the spot that holds it up. Just be careful you do stretch the emergency brake a little bit. Just keep an eye on that when you do it that way. The other thing, I would run a tap and die both through the nut and on the threads of the end link if you're going to reuse it. It's a 10 by 1.25, and just use a bunch of oil, go slow with the tap and die, and then this will go back together. It wouldn't have gone back together if you didn't do that. And then I did have to grip this side with a pair of not needle nose pliers, but just vice grips, and aggressively clamp it because it did not want to come out. Before you undo anything, I run a wire wheel around all the nuts, and especially on this end link here. Run it around the threads completely and remove as much rust and crust buildup as you can. Even these, everything did come out. One of the problems I ran into is that this bolt through here on one side was completely seized in the bushing, so I lowered everything down, cleared out, and just used a sawzall on either side of the bushing and just cut it with the sawzall to get it out. It was that seized in there, and that this metal that supports this control arm that's attached to the subframe is pretty weak. I wouldn't smash the crap out of it with a hammer trying to loosen it up. I would just go ahead and cut your losses and get a little sawzall in there and clip it out. The other thing is, on the passenger side of the vehicle, this American car, the gas tank is further away on the passenger side. On the driver's side, the gas tank's a lot closer, and this forward bolt is actually, you kind of have to really, I would unload everything, unload the spring, drop the arm as much as it'll come out, remove this side bolt, and then remove the end link, and then go ahead and try and remove this. I even removed these two bolts here and to get a little bit more play, but that's because it was bound up on the other side. I would leave that bolt to try and leave it last, so that way you can move this whole suspension arm around, because there's the holes are elongated on that side, and then you can wiggle the bolt out, and that's kind of a little bit of a bear to get back in. The other thing is here is to mark with a punch or a marker. These are eccentric bolts, so this sets the toe, I would guess, on this rear arm here. But that's those are some tips and tricks if you're doing this job. I don't do a lot of this stuff. I can't really recommend this spring compressor that I have. That's why I didn't even show it. It's kind of finicky to set up, and it doesn't work super well, but it did help me unload the suspension a little bit. And then I did go ahead and completely unbolt the sway bar up here as well, because that drops the sway bar quite a bit and allows you access to this bolt, and allows you to put in vice grips in here a lot easier. It gives you like 3 or 4 inches. It's actually really nice. So that wasn't that big of a deal once you drop the bar. And if you have one side, I'd just go ahead and do both, and I would do both arms too. I wouldn't even think about it. But that's my experience doing this job, and good luck.